Not sure how to proceed at my brother's level of immaturity. My little brother, who was 15 at the time, had seen a poster at a gas station. It was an advertisement for a traveling Christian strongman show that would be taking place in a large community church in a nearby town. He badgered me for a week, begging me to give him a ride to this event. We weren't church people, so this was quite odd. I tried to get him off of it by explaining that events like this were always basically money grabs by churches where they try to convert the unfortunate souls in the audience who showed up without knowing what they were getting themselves into. He didn't care. He just had to see it. These guys were apparently known for such feats as bending metal rods with their bare hands, lifting absurd amounts of weight, and tearing phone books in half. I thought it sounded dumb, but it seemed like it meant a lot to him, so we loaded up into my little Chevy Cavalier and made the trip into town. He insisted that we leave early so we could get the best possible seats. When we got there were only a couple of folks wandering around in front of the church, so we went inside and took our seats in the very front pew. While we waited for the show to start, the muscle guys made small talk with us as the place filled up. The show was pretty much exactly what you'd expect. These older, bodybuilder type of dudes would talk about the power of the Lord, bend a big pipe over their knee, give credit to God for their superhuman strength, ask for donations, rinse and repeat. There came a point in the show where they pulled out a stack of phone books. The biggest of the men laid down a long and rambling prayer, picked up a phone book, and tore it straight in half with relative ease. Impressive. He repeated this 3 or 4 times. Then he asked for audience volunteers to try to replicate what he just did. My little brother was absolutely giddy. He jumped up out of seat immediately. Me please, pick me. Now, my brother was maybe 120 pounds. He never worked out a day in his life. I grabbed the back of his shirt and tried to get him to sit down, but he was determined. Come on up here, little dude in the front, said the muscle-bound ringleader. My brother obliged. Now who here thinks this kid has what it takes to tear this telephone book in half? Obviously the crowd politely laughed. My girlfriend and I exchanged nervous and uncomfortable eye contact for a moment. Let me tell you, little guy, there is no way that you're going to be able to do this today, but if you train hard and give yourself to God completely, one day He will make all things possible for you. The man handed my brother a phone book that had to be 4 inches thick. As he took it in his hands, the crowd laughed again. Almost instantly, my brother held the book over his head, screamed "Hail Satan," brought the book down to his chest, and easily tore it in half. The crowd gasped loudly. The muscle monsters just stared at him. He then tossed both halves of the book to the ringleader guy and walked down the aisle of pews and straight out of the church. My girlfriend and I had to have been bright red. I was mortified. The ringleader didn't say a word. He just stared absolute lasers straight into us. We awkwardly stood up, kept our eyes on the ground, and followed my brother out of the church. The building was silent. When we got outside, my brother was standing by my car just laughing his butt off. It's all a big trick. I looked it up on the internet. These guys are bogus. Tearing a phone book in half is super easy if you know the technique. I, like everyone else in that building, did not realize that. He was beaming with pride. I couldn't even scold him because it was a hell of a thing to pull off. It was even more impressive that he managed to keep his intentions to himself and had the cojones to follow through. Unfortunately, someone in that church knew who our parents were. They called them to let them know what we had just done before we even got home. Spoiler, they were effing irate. I got my driving privileges taken away for half of my senior year because of this stunt, and my brother was beat to a pulp.